Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Recently, two of our fans, Daniel Myers and Vanshan Faison, both sent me separate messages asking for the same video. What if Darth Vader survives the events on the second Death Star? Well, there's a lot of questions, so I guess it deserves an answer. Imagine a world where Darth Vader's suit of armor was actually properly built and not some knockoff made in China plastic disaster. Imagine if his respirator and life support machine was properly shielded against electrical surges and evil Sith lightning. Then maybe the reborn Anakin Skywalker could have spent a bit more time with the one individual who could break the hold of the dark side on him, his son, Luke Skywalker. Or perhaps death was kinder for Emperor Palpatine's fierce enforcer, Darth Vader. Even though Darth Vader eventually found redemption by picking up Darth Sidious and throwing him down that reactor shaft, he still would have been viewed as a very negative and evil character by the majority of the galaxy. We have to remember that the galaxy at the time had just thrown off the yoke of oppression. Millions of beings still had past grievances with the collapsed empire, and many of them wanted blood. The empire had not been a tolerant regime. It had imprisoned political opposition, the free media, labor movements, and anything that resisted the giant military-industrial complex Palpatine was trying to replace the galactic economy with. Although his name is brought up too haphazardly and probably too frequently, Hitler is a good comparison to Emperor Palpatine because that's exactly how the rest of the galaxy viewed Palpatine after his death. And if Palpatine was the Führer, then Darth Vader was Heinrich Himmler. And even if Heinrich Himmler picked up the Führer by his little Nazi mustache and threw him into the Rhine River, killing him, people would still want Himmler to hang at the gallows for all of his past crimes. We, the audience, of course, see the ridiculously painful life that Anakin Skywalker had to go through. We see his suffering as a child slave, the pain from losing his mother as a teenager to a bunch of dirty Tusken Raiders, and the manipulation of an elder statesman who turned him away from the only people who ever cared about him. We understand Anakin Skywalker intimately, and so we have pity and empathy for him. But most people have never heard of the story of Anakin Skywalker or know that he's actually connected to Darth Vader in the first place. That's thanks to Palpatine, who kind of destroyed any connections between the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker, and the Sith Lord Darth Vader. And of course, people are very quick to judge, and if they don't really know Darth Vader's past and what he's been through, they can obviously see him in a very suspicious light. And so even after Darth Vader kills Emperor Palpatine, he's still seen in an extremely negative light by most outsiders. People will naturally be suspicious of his motives, and political pundits will probably make all sorts of theories on why he decided to kill Palpatine. Perhaps this was just an internal power struggle and nothing more. Others will call Vader an opportunist and claim that he saw the writing on the wall and decided to dispose of the Emperor so that he could negotiate a better deal for him post-galactic civil war. This is the primary reason that Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker both hide their own connection to Darth Vader from the rest of the galaxy, and even from close family members like Leia's son Ben Solo. Despite their heroic actions during the war and their incredible popularity, Luke and Leia realize that not even their image could survive if they are associated with Darth Vader somehow. The news that Darth Vader was related to Luke and Leia didn't really hit the wider galaxy until more than 10 years after the Galactic Civil War was over, and the backlash was pretty strong and pretty immediate, especially for Princess Leia, who had to actually resign from the Galactic Senate. Now, Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo were in the Outer Rim at the time looking for ancient Jedi runes, so the news hit them a little slower, but it was really tough for both of them to see just how the galaxy reacted. It was especially tough for the teenage Ben Solo. Some say that this might have driven him closer to the dark side. Now, it's a pretty ridiculous backlash, one that shows us how easy it is to focus on one small aspect of a person, then judge them by it, and not see their larger picture and all the other positive things they have done. Luke and Leia are clearly heroes of the rebellion, and their positives far outweigh their negatives. So, keeping all of this in mind, having Darth Vader survive the Battle of Endor is going to create a lot of serious complications. For one, shortly after leaving the Death Star 2 with Luke, Darth Vader would have to be immediately transferred into New Republic custody and be interrogated by New Republic intelligence. Remember, just because Emperor Palpatine has died doesn't mean the war's over. The Galactic Civil War would officially go on for at least another year. Darth Vader potentially represents a treasure trove of information about Imperial strategies, logistics, base locations, and so much more. But unlike Luke Skywalker, these New Republic intelligence officers are not going to be very trusting of Darth Vader. They're going to be very suspicious of him and probably very afraid of him. Even with Luke Skywalker vouching for his father, I still believe that the New Republic intelligence will be very, very careful around Vader. New Republic intelligence will most likely cut a deal with Darth Vader in exchange for some information to help end the war rapidly. They will probably alleviate some of the more serious charges against the Dark Lord. The good news is Mon Mothma is going to be pushing for reconciliation hard at this point. This means granting general amnesty for most Imperial soldiers and forgiving the actions of most Imperial officers. Mon Mothma wishes to end the war as soon as possible so that the New Republic can start rebuilding the economy. Now that Darth Vader is once again Anakin Skywalker, I predict that he will be very helpful to New Republic intelligence and try to give them as much information as possible. We have to remember that even as a Sith Lord under Palpatine, Darth Vader was always a very conflicted individual. He was fully aware of what he had done to his beloved wife Padme and his former friends in the Jedi Order. He had to basically painfully erase a lot of these memories from his mind to fully embrace the dark side. But ultimately, that hatred he used to generate dark side anger, a lot of it came from hatred of himself. Vader was never happy about his own actions, but what ultimately drove him and turned him to the dark side was the true belief that only the Empire, with its strong federal government and control, could bring peace and stability to the galaxy. Seeing the Empire now rip itself into a million different pieces with, dozens of vying factions and warlords claiming that they are the true leader of the Empire is exactly what Darth Vader does not want to happen. As a child who grew up on a lawless world where slavery was allowed, the one thing that never changed in Anakin or Vader was that desire for stability. And right now, believe it or not, the New Republic looked like the best path towards that galactic-wide stability. I would argue that the New Republic's best move is to somehow write off Darth Vader's many war crimes and try a bit of historical revisionism and put the blame of some of his more egregious actions on the shoulders of Palpatine. Paint Darth Vader as a manipulated individual who only wanted the best for the galaxy. I would also push the fact that Anakin had been a hero and general during the Clone Wars as a Jedi. Because the reality is, with the Emperor dead and the Empire reeling in chaos, the only person in the entire galaxy who's strong enough to unite the Imperial Remnant is Darth Vader. I mean, sure, you have Gallius Rax and Admiral Sloane and their contingency plan, but Darth Vader was supremely popular, especially amongst the fanatic Stormtrooper Corps, who basically provided security aboard every remaining ship in the Empire. Although the Stormtrooper Corps technically was a part of the Imperial Army, they functioned as an independent branch of the military and had a separate command chain that went directly to Vader himself. If Vader came out of hiding, admitted to killing Emperor Palpatine, and then called for peace and stability, I think a lot of Imperials would actually flock to his cause. On top of that, Vader can expose Palpatine for the crazy, deranged wizard he really was. Remember, the majority of people in the galaxy at the time didn't even know Sidious was a Dark Lord. Ultimately, Darth Vader will probably have a much more comfortable life amongst Imperials rather than in the New Republic. The reality is, no matter what he does, people within the New Republic will still fear Darth Vader and see him as an evil person. The Imperial Remnant, on the other hand, will gladly welcome his strength and leadership. Perhaps he could even link up with his old friend Thrawn, and together they can create stability in their local region and coexist peacefully with the New Republic. In Anakin Skywalker, Mon Mothma can find her partner in peace. While a lot of people see Mon Mothma as a weaker character because of her pacifism and her, desire for reconciliation with the Galactic Empire, I argue that she understands that war is generally not a zero-sum game because ultimately the galaxy is interconnected. If you push your victory too hard, if you focus too much on destroying your enemy in the post-war negotiations, and you don't try to rebuild relations, then another war could be on the horizon very soon after. The New Republic's error was that it never found a reliable and strong leader that controlled their Imperial remnant, so any kind of peace deal that Mon Mothma made with the Imperials through Mas Amedda was ultimately futile and only symbolic. Also, with Anakin Skywalker alive now, Luke Skywalker all of a sudden has a legitimate Jedi Master who can actually teach him things. Better yet, Anakin has journeyed on both the dark and light side of the Force and could provide Luke with a more comprehensive understanding of the Force that doesn't share the same pitfalls of the rigid Old Republic Jedi teaching style. So there you have it, guys. It would be extremely interesting to see Anakin Skywalker survive the events of the second Death Star. Again, all he really needed was some kind of insulation and grounding so that the lightning didn't fry all of his circuits. But I think he would have played an important part in the post-war galaxy. Let me know in the comments section below what you think. And also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. And if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.